10 minutes ago, this man was fighting to put air back into a dying child's lungs. Now, the only thing he's holding is a criminal charge.
He touched her! Take him away! He's a monster!
Elias didn't want a reward. He didn't want fame. He just wanted the girl to breathe. But he was about to learn a brutal lesson. In a world obsessed with appearances, a dirty savior looks a lot like a villain. This is the story of Elias. To the people of Seattle, Elias was a ghost. He was the stain on the sidewalk they stepped over. He was the smell they wrinkled their noses at. He was the problem they wanted the city to sweep away. But on a rainy Tuesday in November, Elias would become the most important person in the city. He would do something that would make millions of people cheer and millions of people cry. But before the applause came the handcuffs. Before the heroes parade came the prison cell. Because in our world, people judge with their eyes, not their hearts. And when a wealthy mother saw a dirty, scarred homeless man holding her unconscious daughter, she didn't see a savior. She saw a monster. What happened next isn't just a story about a misunderstanding. It is a story about the terrifying power of prejudice and the unbreakable strength of a man who lost everything but refused to lose his humanity. This is the story of the innocence of a child, the rage of a mother, and the silent sacrifice of the man they called the river rat. To understand why this injustice happened, you first have to meet Elias. If you walked past him in Pioneer Park, you wouldn't look twice. You would see a man in his 60s, wrapped in 3 layers of tattered flannel shirts that smelled like mildew and wood smoke. You would see a beard that hadn't been trimmed in years, hiding a face that looked like a road map of pain. But if you looked closer, if you actually looked at him and not through him, you would see the scars, burn scars. They crawled up the right side of his neck and disappeared into his hairline. The skin was puckered and shiny. Most people assumed they were from a drug lab explosion or a fight in a homeless camp. They were wrong. Those scars were medals. They were the permanent reminders of a life Elias used to live. A life where he wore a uniform. A life where people called him Captain. But that was 10 years ago, before the grief broke him. Before the bottle became his only friend. Before the Captain became just another bum on a park bench. On this particular Tuesday, the rain was relentless. It was that bone-chilling Pacific Northwest rain that soaks through your clothes in seconds. Elias was sitting near the embankment of the Green River. The river was angry today. Swollen by days of storms, the water was brown, churning, and moving fast. It slashed against the concrete retaining wall with a violent hiss. Elias watched the water. He respected the water. He knew how fast it could take a life. Most people had cleared out of the park. It was too cold, too wet. But not everyone. Enter Mrs. Vanessa Sterling. Vanessa was the type of woman who thought the world existed to serve her. She was on her phone, as usual, her voice loud enough to cut through the sound of the rain. She was arguing about a catering order for a charity gala. A gala to raise money for the poor, ironically enough. Trailing behind her was 6-year-old Lily. Lily was a burst of color in the gray day, wearing a bright yellow raincoat and little red rain boots. She was holding a pink balloon, and she was bored.
Mommy, can we go see the ducks?
Lily asked, tugging on Vanessa's expensive coat. Vanessa swatted the little hand away without looking down.
Not now, Lily. Mommy is dealing with incompetent idiots. Go play. Stay on the path.
Go play. 2 words. 2 careless words that would almost cost a life. Elias watched from his bench about 50 yards away. He pulled his collar up. He didn't like how close the little girl was wandering to the edge of the retaining wall. The railing there was old, rusted, and in one section, completely broken. A hazard the city had promised to fix months ago. Elias shifted uneasily. His firefighter instincts, dormant for a decade, began to itch. "Watch her," he whispered to no one. "Lady, get off the phone and watch your kid." But Vanessa didn't get off the phone. She turned her back to the river to shout at the caterer. And Lily?
Lily saw something floating in the churning brown water, a rubber ball. She took a step toward the broken railing, then another.
It happened in the blink of an eye. 1 second, the yellow raincoat was there. The next, it was gone. There was no scream, just a sickening splash that was instantly swallowed by the roar of the river. Vanessa didn't hear it. She was too busy screaming about appetizers, but Elias heard it. Elias heard everything. His body moved before his brain could catch up. The old man, who usually walked with a shuffle due to his arthritis, exploded off the bench. He didn't run like a homeless man. He ran like a first responder. He hit the railing at full speed. He looked down. The brown water was churning violently, foaming around the concrete pillars. 10 feet down, he saw a flash of yellow. The current had her. It was dragging her toward the storm drain, a massive concrete tunnel that sucked water underground. If she went into that tunnel, she was gone forever. Elias didn't think about the cold. He didn't think about his arthritis. He didn't think about the fact that he was 62 years old. He vaulted over the railing and dove. The cold hit him like a sledgehammer. It knocked the wind out of his lungs. The current grabbed him, spinning him around, slamming his shoulder against a rock. Pain shot down his arm, but he kicked. He kicked with everything he had. He couldn't see anything in the murky water. He swept his arms out blindly. Where is she? His hand brushed against something plastic, the raincoat. He grabbed it. He pulled. Lily was heavy, dead weight in the water. She wasn't fighting. That was bad. That meant she had already inhaled water. Elias locked his arm around her chest, keeping her head up, fighting the ferocious current that wanted to smash them both into the tunnel entrance. He saw a rusted ladder built into the concrete wall about 20 feet downstream. "Come on, old man," he grunted, spitting out river water. "One last save." He kicked. His muscles burned. The river fought him every inch of the way. He reached the ladder. He threw Lily over his shoulder, his adrenaline giving him the strength of 10 men, and he climbed. Elias dragged the limp body of the little girl onto the grass. He was shivering violently, but his mind was crystal clear. He checked for a pulse, weak, thready. He put his ear to her mouth. No breath. "Not today," Elias growled. He tilted her head back. He pinched her nose. He began rescue breathing. Breath. Pause. Breath. He intertwined his dirty, callous hands and placed them on her tiny chest. He began compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. "Come on, little one. Come back." He didn't look like a hero. He looked terrifying. He was soaking wet, covered in river slime, his long hair plastered to his face, bending over a little girl. And that is exactly when Vanessa Sterling turned around. She saw the empty path. She saw the pink balloon floating away. "Lily?" she called out, annoyed. "Lily, come back here!" Then she looked toward the riverbank. What she saw stopped her heart. She saw a dirty, homeless man on top of her daughter. She saw his hands on her chest. She saw his mouth on her mouth. From 50 yards away, through the rain, it didn't look like CPR. It looked like an assault. "Get off her!" The scream tore out of Vanessa's throat. She dropped her phone. She started running, screaming like a banshee. "Help! He's hurting her! Someone help me!" Elias heard the screaming, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. If he stopped compressions, the blood would stop flowing to Lily's brain. "Ma'am, she fell in!" Elias shouted between breaths, not looking up. "I'm performing CPR!" But Vanessa wasn't listening. Hysteria had taken over. She reached the scene and threw herself at Elias. She clawed at his face, scratching his cheek. She kicked him. "Get away from my baby! You monster! You filthy animal!" She shoved him hard. Elias, exhausted and weak from the freezing swim, toppled over into the mud. Vanessa scooped up Lily's limp body, shaking her violently. "Lily, wake up! Oh God, what did he do to you?" "Don't shake her," Elias gasped, trying to sit up. "She drowned. You need to let me finish." "Shut up!" Vanessa shrieked. 2 joggers, hearing the screams, ran over. They saw a crying rich woman clutching a child and a dirty homeless man trying to get close to them. They didn't ask questions.
One of the joggers, a large man in athletic gear, tackled Elias, pinning him to the cold, wet ground. "Stay down, creep," the jogger yelled, twisting Elias's arm behind his back. "I saved her," Elias wheezed, his face pressed into the mud. "She needs oxygen." "Save it for the police," the jogger spat.
The police arrived in 3 minutes. To them, the scene looked clear. Victim: a terrified mother and an unconscious child. Perpetrator: the homeless man pinned down by citizens. "Get on the ground, now!" Officer Miller shouted, his taser pointed at Elias. "I am on the ground," Elias muttered, his voice breaking. They cuffed him. They weren't gentle. They wrenched his shoulders back, snapping the cold steel cuffs onto his wrists. Elias watched helplessly as paramedics swarmed Lily. He saw them load her onto a stretcher. He saw the oxygen mask go over her face. "Is she breathing?" Elias asked the officer who was shoving him toward the cruiser. "Officer, please, I need to know if she's breathing." "Shut your mouth," the officer snapped. "You have the right to remain silent, and I suggest you use it." Vanessa was standing by the ambulance, weeping. She pointed a shaking finger at Elias. "I want him locked away forever," she screamed. "He grabbed her. He dragged her down there. I saw him. He tried to kill her." Elias looked at her. He didn't feel anger. He felt a profound, crushing sadness. He had risked his life. He had almost died in that freezing water, and his reward was the hatred of the woman whose child he had saved. As they shoved his head down to put him in the back of the police car, Elias caught a glimpse of his reflection in the window. He saw the mud. He saw the crazy beard. He saw the scars. "Who would believe me?" he thought. "Look at me. I'm nobody." They left him in that room for 4 hours. Elias sat in his wet clothes, shivering uncontrollably. Hypothermia was setting in, but no one brought him a blanket. No one brought him coffee. To them, he was just another dirtbag who hurt a kid. Finally, the door opened. Detective Miller walked in. Miller was a good cop, but he was tired, and he hated crimes against children. He slammed a folder onto the metal table. "So," Miller said, sitting down, "you want to tell me why you grabbed a 6-year-old girl?" Elias's teeth were chattering. I didn't grab her. She fell in the river." "The mother says you dragged her down the embankment," Miller said coldly. "The mother was on her phone," Elias stammered. "She wasn't watching. The kid slipped. I went in after her." Miller looked skeptical. He looked at the report. "Name?" "Elias Thorne." Miller paused. He typed the name into his laptop. He expected to find a rap sheet. He expected to find drug charges, theft, assault. He hit enter. His eyebrows shot up. "Elias Thorne," Miller read. "Born 1963. No prior arrests. No warrants." Miller scrolled down. He stopped scrolling. His eyes widened. "Wait a minute. Are you Captain Elias Thorne, Seattle Fire Department, Engine 51? Elias looked down at his hands. "That was a long time ago." Miller looked at the homeless man with new eyes. He looked at the burn scars on his neck. "You were the one who pulled those 3 kids out of the apartment fire in 2015, Miller said softly. "That's where you got the burns." Elias nodded slowly. "Lost my wife in that fire. Couldn't save her. Saved the kids, but couldn't save Sarah." The room went silent. The tension shifted. Miller stood up. He walked over and unlocked Elias's handcuffs. He took off his own jacket and put it around Elias's shivering shoulders. "Stay here," Miller said, his voice urgent. Miller ran out of the room. He went straight to the evidence locker. He needed to see the footage. The park had security cameras. He pulled the feed from the camera overlooking the river. He rewound the tape to 2:14 p.m. He watched. He saw Vanessa on her phone. He saw Lily wandering away. He saw Lily slip and fall. And then he saw Elias. He saw the old man run. He saw the dive. He saw the struggle in the water. He saw Elias drag the girl out and immediately start CPR. Miller felt a pit form in his stomach. "We messed up," he thought. "We messed up bad." At the hospital, the news was critical. "She's in a coma," the doctor told Vanessa. "Her brain was deprived of oxygen, but..." "But what?" Vanessa cried. "But she's alive," the doctor said. And she shouldn't be. Someone performed high-quality CPR on her immediately after she came out of the water. Whoever did that saved her brain function. If they had waited even 30 seconds longer, she would be gone. Vanessa froze. The image of the dirty man on top of her daughter flashed in her mind. He wasn't hurting her, she realized with a sickening jolt. He was pumping her chest. Just then, Detective Miller walked into the waiting room. He didn't look happy. He was holding a tablet. "Mrs. Sterling," Miller said sternly, "we need to talk." "Did you charge him?" Vanessa asked, but her voice was shaking. "Is he in jail?" "No," Miller said. "He's being treated for hypothermia, and I think you need to watch this." Miller held up the tablet. He pressed play on the security footage. Vanessa watched. She watched herself on the phone, ignoring her child. She watched her daughter fall to her death. She watched the man she called a monster jump into freezing water without hesitation. She saw him save her baby. And then she saw herself attacking him. Vanessa dropped the tablet. She covered her mouth with her hands. She fell into a chair and began to sob. Not the angry sobs of a victim, but the shameful, gut-wrenching sobs of someone who realizes they have been the villain all along. "Oh my God," she whispered. I arrested him. He saved her. And I arrested him." Elias didn't want a reward. He didn't want fame. He just wanted to go back to his bench. But when he walked out of the police station, the street was blocked off. News cameras were everywhere. But in front of them all stood Vanessa Sterling. She looked different, humble, broken. She walked up to Elias. The cameras clicked, but Elias ignored them. "Mr. Thorne," Vanessa said, tears streaming down her face. She didn't offer him money. She didn't try to buy his forgiveness. She dropped to her knees right there on the sidewalk. She took his scarred, calloused hand in hers and pressed her forehead against it. "Thank you," she sobbed. "You gave me back my life. I judged you. I hurt you, and you saved me anyway. Please, how can I ever repay you?" Elias looked down at the weeping woman. He could have been angry. He could have humiliated her on national television. But Elias was a hero, and heroes don't kick people when they are down. He gently pulled her up to her feet. "Is the little girl okay?" Elias asked. That was all he cared about. "She woke up this morning," Vanessa said. "She's asking for the magic river man." A small smile cracked Elias's beard. "Then I'm repaid," Elias said. The story of Elias went viral. A GoFundMe page raised over $500,000 in 2 days. Elias was no longer invisible. The city that had stepped over him now bowed to him. He used the money to get an apartment. He got therapy for his grief. He even started volunteering at the fire station again, teaching CPR to new recruits. But he never forgot the river. And Vanessa? She changed too. She stopped looking at her phone and started looking at the world. She started a foundation in Elias's name to help homeless veterans. So the next time you walk down the street and you see someone sleeping on a bench, someone dirty, someone scarred, someone invisible, don't look away. Don't judge the book by its cover, because underneath the rags, there might be a heart of gold. Underneath the scars, there might be a hero waiting for their moment. We are not defined by what we wear or where we sleep. We are defined by what we do when the water rises.